Good morning, everybody. It's Sunday, June 6th, 2021. It's me, Teri Hunter. I'm here on Lotta's channel every Sunday at 11 a.m. Pacific time with messages from your angels for traversing the transits of the coming week. And boy, what a week, what a month, what a lifetime we're in, huh? Good morning, Juan. It's great to see you. I'm sorry about last week. I forgot to hit the public button, so I spent the whole time talking to myself. I don't like that. Good morning, Kaylee. Good morning, Small Wildflowers. Good morning, Miss P. Okay, so guys, we are just in such... Good morning, Joy, Debbie. Oh, good. I'm glad you could join, Kaylee. So let's talk about this week. We have so much going on. Yesterday, Mercury was squaring Neptune. It's still squaring Neptune, which I think is super interesting. And I want to kind of talk a little bit about, I'm going to kind of play with the transits a little bit, because as I was getting ready this morning, I kept having this feeling of the hero's journey, and how the zodiac and all the houses represent elements of the hero's journey. And I wanted to talk about how Mercury rules Gemini. It's in Gemini right now, squaring Neptune in Pisces. And I was wondering if each one of you took your natal charts and looked and saw, where is Gemini? Because whatever house it is, there's going to be some sort of relatability. As let's say Gemini is your seventh house. The retrograde is going to be a review of your contracts, the review of your partnerships, the review of how you create harmony and peace and Venusian type diplomatic things, as it's naturally ruled by Libra. I'm in Aries rising, so this is in Gemini in its natural sign. And for me, I started to think, what's the ripple effect? What does this solar eclipse in Gemini have to offer me in the hero's journey? And when I thought about Gemini, I thought about much more than just my communications. I thought about, yes, Kaylee, and that Pluto-Mars opposition. Oh boy, that's another big thing here. We've got so much, lots of fun stuff. So the reason I say I start to bring this up is because while we've got all these dynamics, so we basically have the solar eclipse in Gemini. What I was going to do is task each one of you to look at where this is in your chart. And as you look at it, rather than looking at it as sort of this individual thing, look at the ripple effect. Look at how, for instance, my Mercury is natally in my 8th house. So I kind of was thinking, and Neptune, it sits near Neptune. So I'm thinking to myself, how does this transit relate to my own hero's journey and how I am processing the opportunities that this house affords me? So yeah, Juan here is talking about Gemini being his 8th house. So how can this solar eclipse plant new seeds in your 8th house of how you deal with other people's money, deal with taxes, deal with inheritances, deal with the deeper parts of your own psyche and the psyche of those around you. Just little things like that. They're not really little, are they? They're kind of huge. So, and I want to also, Kaylee, I'm going to say this. I just see your 6th house is Gemini. What are you enslaved to within your 6th house? Are you serving in a way that brings joy? When I think about the 3rd house Gemini, it's I think, and this has been so relevant to me lately. Not only how I think, but the loop that my mind will go into. And then rather than trying to resist the loop, trying to refocus my mind into a place that starts the vibrational platform for creating from a place that actually serves me versus revisiting everything that's pulled me under the water, Mercury square Neptune, throughout my life. I think I mentioned last week, I don't know if you guys saw it because there wasn't a live show, but Lotta when I mentioned to Lotta about Pluto making so many transits to me right now, squaring my ascendant, my Mars. I mean, I've got Uranus on my moon, triggering the opposition between Neptune and Mercury. And she said to me, how's your health? And it is, getting better and better as I'm paying attention to it. But it triggered me to go look at my natal chart and to realize that Pluto has been making aspects, mostly conjunctions, to most of my planets my whole life. So I kind of am thinking about this rather than being pulled under and being pulled into a place of challenge. Maybe this is where the butterfly emerges from the cocoon. This is the solar eclipse. This is where the seeds are planted. This is in Gemini in relation to a lunar eclipse 2 weeks ago in Sagittarius. The opposition of these two houses, the higher mind, philosophy, the Sagittarian, who am I? What does my existence mean? Versus Gemini, the everyday activities, the running into my routines and my unconscious thought. So I wanted to offer this because I think that this is something that as we move forward, and we're going to go through all these, Pluto is now retrograde, Saturn is retrograde, Mercury is retrograde, Neptune will go retrograde at the end of the month, Pluto is going to go retrograde in like a couple of weeks. All of these things to me are adding up for this review that then culminates in October, when everything comes to harvest. 3 of the planets, I think it's Saturn, Jupiter, and Pluto, will all go direct in October. Again, I can't help but think about what we can do over this period of time to really excavate what doesn't serve us, to look where our minds tend to get caught in a loop, or we tend to focus on something that we defend our lack, or we defend our challenge, or we defend our victimhood by our teammates, our workmates, our siblings, whatever this kind of Geminian experience is for each of us individually. So for those of you that don't have the natural 3rd house of Gemini, your Gemini is somewhere else, you're going to look at layers. You're going to look at the idea that the eclipse is in the house of, you take the Gemini aspect, and if it's in the 6th house, it's kind of a double Mercury feeling because the natural 6th house is Virgo. So kind of play with these. Look a little deeper is what I guess I'm getting at. I know some people whose Gemini is the 9th house, and so they have this idea of having this Sagittarian influence underneath this Gemini influence. So that's where I'm going with this, kind of playing with it a little bit, opening things up, because I feel like there are layers to this whole thing. So this is the main thing. And then for this week, and then I want to say Mars will be moving into Leo the day after the eclipse. Yay, Mars is getting out of the water. I think Mars has been feeling a little steamy and a little, I'm ruled by Mars, and I have not felt a strong ability to move my story forward. So these aspects, it's like almost like when one thing lightens up, another thing is pulling us into this place of reflection. But the reflection is not to reflect on where we're misstepping, where the holes still are. I think the reflection is where we have evolved, how to allow that evolution to create a new platform, to plant new seeds, to really harvest them as we let it root our own evolution, our own spiritual growth, our own awareness. The human tends to constantly look for the holes. All right, so that's where I'm going with this little chat. It's good to see everybody. I've missed you. Hi, Amy, Lucy Rose, Nikki Ryan, Tebow, Lola's Loves Coffee. I love that. It's great to see everybody. Hi, Shelly. Hi, Jay Karma, Jenny B. Okay, hope I didn't miss anybody. Let's start with our Pisces and work our way. Hi, Sun Lux. Towards Aries. Get on with it this morning. It has been Juny gloomy over here, I'll tell you. Looking for it. Good morning, Lux Goddess. All right. Let's see what Spirit has to say for traversing this eclipse week. Good morning, Jada. All right, our first angel for Pisces is Archangel Gabriel, who rules communications. The second is Bethany. The third is Yvonne. And the final is Astera. Oh yeah, Lucy Rose, I go backwards. I always start at Pisces and work my way towards Aries, just for balance. And Juan so kindly does the timestamps, and he will post them after the show is over. Okay, here we go. Joining Archangel Gabriel is the Novice. Joining Bethany is the Wasp. Joining Yvonne is the Lady of the Lake. And joining Astera is the King. I mentioned last week that I have all this aspects happening in my in Gemini, rules my neighborhood, my co-renters in my apartment, and I've had some challenges here with some of my neighbors in the respect of cigarette smoke. Okay, and it was really, really bad, and I was focusing in on how bad it was, and what happened was I caught myself getting more frustrated, more feeling ineffectual, Mars in Cancer, feeling underwater, getting very steamy. Nobody was listening to me. And what I realized was my focus was on the challenge. My focus was on the lack of cooperation. The reason I say all this is because Archangel Gabriel is the angel of communications, and now Pisces is in a new place of starting to communicate from a place of empowerment, and also watching how your self-talk gets in your own way. I want to, what we don't realize oftentimes when we have been diagnosed with something from the doctor, we start to say, my thyroid issue, or my boo-boo here or there. And I've been coaching some of my clients to say so that you're energetically not owning it and allowing the situation to balance. I'm bringing this up because I feel like Pisces, this is a real opportunity this week to look at how you are speaking to yourself, how you are inadvertently I don't want to say defending, but sort of supporting your lack or supporting the challenge. Because in the opportunity or the obstacle is the Wasp, which is about being annoyed and angry and feeling stingy. And then there's the card of self-care. And when I go back to Archangel Gabriel and the Novice, I can't help but think it's about my self-talk. And I'm not talking very kindly of myself, or I am somehow focused on a situation outside of myself. And in doing so, I am kicking in the laws of attraction. So yes, we want to be able to tell our challenges. We want to share our stories with our friends, but being aware of our vibration. When we are sitting up here pissed off, we have a very strong emotional charge on a situation. If you want to talk about something you find challenging, Pisces, you want to be aware of how calm you can be about talking about it, because that way you're not kicking in the laws of attraction and not creating a ripple effect. Because in the angel's advice is a vulnerability. Yvonne asking you to be vulnerable to a deeper truth. And the deeper truth is my pissed offness really serving me or getting in my way? Is my talking about the challenge? This person's been so mean to me, or this person doesn't pay attention to me, or this person doesn't value me. Whatever the story is somehow getting in your way. And I'm not saying the story isn't true. I'm just saying that the continued focus on it is adding to the challenge. So what is Spirit saying to you during this eclipse week in Gemini? To reach for the stars with your conversation, to start to, if you can't feel a vibration that aligns to what you want to experience, try to find neutral, because it is now a just, and it is the time for you to experience your own empowerment through how you talk to yourself. It is like, it's so crazy, because I don't know if you guys paid attention, or because I don't know what happened last week. I don't want to say paid attention. That's not fair. But I was talking about how the neighbor was bugging me so much that I literally created a Zen garden on my patio. I bought one of those privacy fences, and I bought some plants, and I took some of my fake candles and put them outside, so that rather than focusing in on the neighbor being so annoying, I could create this beautiful place for me to look at, and it blocked the view. So I feel like that's what Spirit is saying for Pisces. Find a way to create beauty. Find a way to create a Zen garden for yourself, rather than focusing in on the imbalance or the injustice or the unfairness of whatever is going on. Okay. David, you're absolutely right. But it's not even avoiding owning a physician's diagnosis. It's actually putting it outside of yourself. So the is really the key word. The weight, the headache, the ache, the pain, versus my ache, my pain, my headache. All right, let's go on to Aquarius, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. And for those of you that are new to my Sunday show, I say stelliums because when there are 3, 4 more planets, especially personal planets, in one sign or house, this indicates a soul's focus on this in this lifetime. So if indeed you have some sort of stellium in Virgo or in Gemini, then how you think, how you process information will be very influential in this lifetime. And if you somehow have 2 stelliums, I happen to know one of our tribe members has a small stellium in Virgo and one in Scorpio. And this kind of feels like the opportunity to trust my inner knowing, or am I going to get caught up in what I learn in the outside world from the information that's provided from others to me? Okay. So let's go on to Aquarius, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. And I say moon second because I am 100% convinced that we manifest on our moon. So our rising will be our perception, how we look at a situation. If you're a Capricorn rising, you're going to be very willing to work hard, to be stoic, to see the long-term goal. If you're Gemini, you're probably going to have a little bit lighter viewpoint of the world. And then the moon is going to be how you emotionally process. So if you feel like crap, it's going to be really difficult to manifest. So that's why I put it that direction. First, our viewpoint, then how we feel, then how we project ourselves out into the world, which is the sun, and then the stellium. All right, here we go. Welcome, BMX Mom. Hayo Lolai. I'm not sure if I said that right. All right, here we go. Whoops. Aquarius, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Our first angel is Chantal. The second is Crystal. The third is Isaiah. And the final is Athena. All right, Aquarius, Chantal is being joined by the spider. Crystal's being joined by the letting go card. Isaiah's being joined by the birth and rebirth card. And Athena's being joined by the frog. Well, it's interesting to me when I look at this, because the very first thing I thought about Aquarius is that, when you have relationships, they're very individualistic, very, outside the box, not necessarily the way other people would have relationships. And I'm not saying that you're not in some way aligned to what people consider normal, but I want to offer this because Chantal talks about romance being imminent, being that a newcomer is potentially coming in, or that there's a resurgence of love. And then I see the spider, and I kind of feel like in this way there's some sort of internal liberation is a word I guess I want to use in how Aquarius does love. I don't know if this is about a person. I think it's more about a perception of love and giving yourself permission to think outside the box, and also to think that if you think outside the box, there's somebody else that's your counterpart who thinks outside of the box. So, and when I say that, it could be anything. It could be from, we don't do relationships in a natural way to we both have very interesting and eclectic tastes within our makeup, and in that way we align. Because for Aquarius, in the opportunity or the obstacle is the letting go card, and Crystal saying have faith and hope, there's more on the horizon. For those of you that have watched me for a while, you know this letting go card is the song Let It Go from Frozen. So it's funny how some distance makes everything look small. And the fears that once controlled me can't get to me at all, because I really think that the angels are saying it's time for a rebirth, and a rebirth from the inside out, meaning starting to look at this Gemini eclipse, giving me an opportunity to review how I think about things. And if I'm thinking about things in a way where I'm self-judgy, as if my eclectic tastes are so outside the box that nobody would align with them. And I don't think that's necessarily true. So as you open up to that and honor it in a way that doesn't judge the outside experience, but just owns your interior experience, I believe you're going to start to see something new happen. And I want to offer it this way, because we know these eclipses have a 6-month influence. So over this period of the summer, as the other retrogrades give you an opportunity to excavate how you're thinking and feeling and what you believe about yourself, and then realign your individuality, which is everything about Aquarius is individual, then you start to release the story of yesteryear and lovingly asserting yourself towards the idea that, you know what? There is alignment in love for me, and it doesn't have to stifle my individuality. But when I think about the idea that Aquarius is co-ruled by this year's theme of Saturn square Uranus. So literally, no matter what else is going on in the sky, those that are ruled by Uranus and Saturn are going to have a liberating experience in one way or another. And I feel like when I look at this is where Saturn rewards. Because when I'm willing to do the hard work of really looking deeply at what makes me happy or what makes me feel joy, and I don't compare it to what the outside world assesses brings them joy, then I start to liberate myself, Uranus, from an old structure, Saturn, that didn't serve me, that then offers this new dynamic back to those that experience me. Humanity, those outside networks. It's like, imagine you're allowing yourself this outside of the box way of viewing relationships, and then you find alignment in that and joy in that, and then you share it on social media, which then has the ripple effect of allowing others to have that same liberation. Hope that made sense. Okay. Kathy B, is transit Uranus on your ascendant? It couldn't be, because Uranus is in Taurus right now. So I don't know what aspect that is. Okay, I'm going to go on to my Capricorns, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Brandon, your time lord is Saturn at 2929 Aries. That's a very intuitive sign. That's a very intuitive degree. Okay, yeah, I think I never realized how, I'm kind of glad I didn't know some of these aspects when I was younger. I might have just jumped off of a bridge thinking, get it over with. Good morning, Uncle Dan. It's so good to see you. And did I say hi, Brandon, to you? I hope so. Welcome, Lauren. Okay. Oh, I hope that we'll sending hugs to Lauren. Kathy B. Oh, okay. So it's in your natal chart. All right. So that's something I can't really, I don't know how to look into that. So we'll have to do that. The goat squad. I love that. I always like to think of the baby goats, those happy goats up in the trees. We don't have to be the old goat chewing on the can. All right, here we go. Capricorn, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Our first angel is Chantal. Oh, you know, this happened with my, I did some readings earlier, and it was so much about love. It just kept coming up over and over again. So I think that's so interesting. Okay, Capricorn, Yvonne is in the opportunity and or the obstacle. Serafina is in the angel's advice, and Desiree is in the final position. Welcome, Chelsea. All right, let's look and see what Chantal is. Who's joining Chantal? What does Spirit want us to know about our romantic body? Capricorn. Chantal is being joined by the partnership card. Yvonne is being joined by the stag. Serafina is being joined by the eagle. And Desiree is being joined by the Grail Knight. This is super, super crazy. Crazy good. Because I want to go on again and say this. For the longest time, I have been feeling like Capricorn was doing a transition. That Saturn was saying to me, you know, I rule Saturday. Saturday is date night. You know, I'm not the malefic everybody makes me out to be. Yes, Saturn requires me to work hard. Saturn doesn't care if I'm happy about doing that work. But I also think Saturn says, if you do the hard work and you get in the lane you love, I'll reward you. And I will make that reward long lasting. So this is where I'm going with this. The hard work for Capricorn might be really determining how you do partnerships and what you are willing to give and what you are willing to receive. And to, in many ways, look at where you might be restricting yourself or oppressing yourself. I also think that there could very well be new, or I don't want to say new. I feel like there's some sort of revisit. And if indeed you don't physically have some old lover come back in, you may hear news about someone. You may hear someone got married, had a baby, crossed over. There could be information, because I feel like for my Capricorns, this is really about being vulnerable and not being too prideful about being vulnerable, not making a case for your lack or your need to defend yourself, but rather to look at if there is misalignment in partnership. Maybe you're not supposed to be stoic and continue to move forward in that relationship, but rather pull back and reassess things, because Spirit is offering you an opportunity for a happy change in your family. But part of that is about having an interior integrity to figure out whether or not you're doing something because it's expected of you and you feel obligated to do it, or it actually makes you happy. That's the little trip up with Saturn. That's the trip up with Capricorn, is like, once you get hooked into a vibration, Saturn is so incredibly neutral that it really never asks what that lane is. It's just about if you're happy. Because in the final position is Desiree saying conditions aren't favorable. And there's the Grail Knight, which is about illusion. We are walking through Mercury squaring Neptune right now, and there could potentially be illusions attached to romance, both in your perception of things, that you must work hard, pull up everybody's bootstraps, take care of everybody. Somehow I feel like Capricorn needs to sort of pull back and say to yourself, what makes me happy in a relationship? What makes me feel fulfilled in a relationship? What makes me feel safe in a relationship versus just making other people feel safe? And if indeed, for some reason, there have been a series of events that have exposed a victimness in any of your relationships, and I want to put it this way, sort of like somebody's saying, oh my God, my car got broken into. Oh my God, I can't believe I got hacked. Oh my God, da, da, da. And there's one person that continues to have a challenge. They are vibrationally out of alignment. So as the Capricorn, are you going to continue to help them? Or in some ways, do you have to put some distance between the situation so that you can get alignment and lead them out of the forest through your own alignment? I hope that makes sense, because when I look at this spread, I feel like this particular solar eclipse in Gemini gives Capricorn an opportunity to revisit, how do I think about relationships? Am I showing up in some sort of routine in the way I'm doing it? It's almost as if you're used to somebody giving you a call to action and you just take that action rather than thinking, do I want to take that action? Is that action moving me towards what I want in the way of feeling a reciprocal relationship, feeling reciprocal love and support? Okay, hope that made sense. Going to go on to our Sagittariuses. Amy, that I love what you have to say for at Kathy B. It also could be potentially liberating her in some way from whatever is behind her Cancer 12th house idea. Okay, here we go. Sagittarius, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Take a quick sip of my tea. All right, Sagittarius. Our first angel is Oceana. The second is Rochelle. The third is Crystal. And the final is Patience. Oceana is being joined by the Forgiveness card. Rochelle is being joined by the Deer. Crystal is being joined by the Grail Knight. And Patience is being joined by the Movement card. When I look at Oceana and the Forgiveness card for Sagittarius, the first thing I kind of thought of is actually the square between Uranus and Saturn, because I feel like it's time. We just had a lunar eclipse, about 2 weeks ago for Sagittarius. And I think it was a call to action to follow your heart. And when I see the Forgiveness card, it isn't about forgiveness. It's about reconciliation. So now I feel like it makes sense for Sagittarius. I have reconciled a negative experience, and now I understand that it's my job to follow my heart, to travel into uncharted waters in order to find and to capture and to claim what I want to experience and what I want to call my destiny. Because when I look in the opportunity or the obstacle, Rochelle is saying, as you honor and follow the guidance of your heart, prosperity is coming to you. Be gentle and diplomatic with yourself as you walk through this process of allowing yourself to continually say, am I following my heart? Because your heart is really, this is what I want to say. This is not selfish. This is unselfish to follow your heart. To want to feel good is an unselfish act. And anytime anyone asks you to sacrifice feeling good for them to feel good, that's out of balance. Because when you start to realize how important it is that you feel good, then you realize the ripple effect of what you're saying. Because in the angel's advice is, Crystal, have faith and hope there's more on the horizon that you can't see. And then there's the Grail Night, which is really bowing down to the sacred of my heart. I absolutely believe that we incarnate with this knowledge of our power. When we're sitting in spirit as light beings, before we enter the dense physical body, we know we are co-creators. We know that any challenges or any fears that we come across on this path are inherently meant to empower us. It is through the fears, it is through the trepidation, it is through the unsureness that we feel excited, that we get like, oh my God, I did that. Oh my God, I got a 4-chair turn. Oh my God, I made it to the next round. Oh my God, I can make my own money. All of these things are a path of fear and unknowing. So, Sagittarius, as you follow your heart into the unknown, into foreign territory, and you believe that your heart is worthy and you're gentle with yourself as you do this, as the new moon is dark. The new moon is where I plant my seeds in this place I can't really see. But I have this faith of knowing that when I do this, things are going to grow. And my job is to be aware of my vibrational dynamic as I kind of go through the rhythm of tending to my seeds and then letting them do their thing. Tending to my seeds, it's like watering a plant, because here in the final position is patience. Because saying to observe your behavior, be aware, be in the present moment. In the present moment, there is choice. And in that observation of your own choice, there is movement. And that movement makes those challenges worthwhile. When I created the Zen garden, I was so pissed off. I was so at a place of frustration. And I was walking around my apartment just like sniffing. I smell shit. I smell cigarettes. I'm sorry for those of you that smoke. I'm an ex-smoker, and I am one of those ex-smokers who can't stand cigarette smoke anymore. So I apologize if I'm offending you, but it was so frustrating to me. And then when I turned my attention, when I had the wherewithal to know that my focus was contributing to my irritation, to my frustration, I was so empowered. And the sense of peace that came over me was so powerful because I felt like I did this. I was aware enough to realize that I was kicking in a law of attraction that I didn't want. So my observation created movement. All right, let's go into our Scorpios. Rising moon, sun, and stallions. Okay. Here we go. Oh, happy birthday, Brandon. I hope you had a good day. I'm excited for the first time in forever. I'm going to be going and having lunch with a friend, walking around the mall. I know, the thing, Shelley, about the law of attraction is that we are implementing that every day, whether we're aware of it or not. I think the big challenge is the law of allowing, because when we get into this vibration of being aware of the law of attraction, we get to realize that it is a co-creation with spirit, with the people that spirit and the experiences that spirit brings into our grid, for lack of a better term, and then realizing that when something comes across, it's our job to allow it in and to decipher. Because sometimes we get things in our grid that are just evidence that we're about to manifest something. It may not be the manifestation. Oh, CJD, this is very powerful for you if your birthday's so close to that eclipse. Okay. Oh, I bet Cruella was a fun movie. All right, here we go. Scorpio, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Our first angel is Caressa. The second is Archangel Michael. The third is Akasha. And the final is Xana. Excuse me. Oh my goodness. What is my shuffling doing here? Maybe it's telling me I'm done. All right. Scorpio is being joined by the Focus card. Archangel Michael is being joined by the Lady of the Lake. Akasha is being joined by the Letting Go card. And Xana is being joined by the Wind Fairy. Okay, so when I think of Scorpio, the first thing I think of is that my intuitive body is my true north. And to allow myself the privilege of trusting that inner knowing, because the outside world will say if you can't touch it, taste it, feel it, or smell it, it may not be real. It is not real. And yet what we've discovered through science throughout the years is so much of what we can't see is real. Because Caressa says that Scorpio is at the end of a life cycle, that new happiness awaits you. And the Focus card is on the new happiness, on the idea of let's take the whole death, let's take taxes out of it, let's take all the dark dynamics out of Scorpio right now and just sort of focus in on that excavator, the one that knows the unseen, that feels the untouchable, that smells the unsmellable. Because that inner knowing, that detective to me is now the opportunity for me to really transform. And I want to say this because Archangel Michael in this deck represents courage to dig deep. And when we start to trust our intuitions over trusting what other people tell us, they will argue with us. They will tell us, that's not true. You don't know that. You don't know that. You don't know that. In fact, I have to laugh because lately I've been telling people, people come for readings and I tell them things and they've been going like this. I already know that. I already know that. I already know that. And I have to remind them that I don't know that. So if I'm telling you that, this is Spirit's way of confirming things. So when I tell you something you don't know, you can anchor into that a little bit more. Because I think, Scorpio, this is an opportunity to get out of your head and get into your intuition, to trust your heart. I feel like I'm hearing Billy Ocean, get out of my head and into my heart. Didn't sing that very well. Because Akasha is the spiritual teacher, and here's the Letting Go card. So I want to say this is about moving away from my fears and trusting that deeper knowing, that intuitive psychological knowing. It's time to have courage to step into that. And I want to offer this too. When you look at the Lady of the Lake, wow, there is all this water at her feet and her hair is flying. The storm is crazy. She holds Excalibur with a very light hand. She's not gripping it like it's going to fly away from her. She's trusting that. So I feel like this is super important because Scorpio in the final position is Xana. Xana is saying you're being protected right now. And I think what you're being protected from is going down the drain of too much cerebral action, too much hypothesizing, too much projection. And I think now as you start to realize that the projection that you may be having isn't from your intuition, it's from some sort of outside stimulus. And as you connect more to what you know underneath, as Spirit will start to give you this confirmation. That's what I think is going on over these next few months that will be really, truly harvested in October. I feel like that inner knowing, the confirmation, it's almost as if, Pluto can scare you, right? So you're ruled by a planet that rules death. And you may feel like, oh, I'm going to die, or my relationship's going to die, or this dynamic's going to die. And I think it's going to transform. And part of your job is to trust a deeper knowing that allows for that transformation. Okay, that's where I'm going. Now I'm going on to Libra. Oh, and for those of you that are new, I go backwards. So I'm heading towards Aries now. I am on Libra. Rising moon, sun, and stelliums. All right, here we go. Libra. Our first angel is Indriel. The second is Crystal. The third is Adriana. And the final is Francesca. Stephen, welcome. I didn't know you were here. Good to see you. All right, here we go. Woo. It's probably not just the retrograde. It's probably the square to Mercury that's got you feeling so underwater and scattered. Think about it. Woo. That's a challenging dynamic. Indriel's being joined by the Goblin Libra. Yahoo! Crystal's being joined by the Water Fairy. Adriana's being joined by the Truth card. And Francesca's being joined by the Frog. Okay. You know, Libra likes things to be fair. When I was a little girl, I was in grammar school. I remember walking down the street with my dad and telling him I used to get picked on a lot in grammar school. And I kept telling him it wasn't fair. Dad, it's not fair that people do this. And he looked at me and he said, honey, the world's not fair. And I said, that's a choice. I got very defensive. And I want to say this because when I look at this for Leo, for Libra, we're on Libra, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. I feel like the goblin is really asking me where I'm edging God out. And this could not be more like my oversoul, my higher self versus my personality and my ego. And I think Libra's going to have to sort of walk this week with some awareness of these two dynamics of yourself and start to figure out which one you want to play to. Because in the opportunity or the obstacle is Crystal saying, have faith and hope because there's more on the horizon. And here's the Water Fairy. And I feel like this is the time when Libra gets to go back to their ego and say, you know, I've done the hard work. You don't need to tell me all the time that I'm not going to win. We can start to rewrite this story. I love you, my ego, and I want to work with you because I know that even though you are the harborer of my fear, my trepidation, my unknowing, you are also the harborer and the facilitator of my empowerment, of my exhilaration, of my sense of achievement. And it's my job as a Libra to stand in a higher vibration of what I know about the combination of my ego and my higher self and how they need each other. That's what I think this is about, this deeper knowing, because Adriana says, I'm leading you to the answers to your prayers. And you know that this is the deeper truth. The 23 degree of Libra is the degree of Spica, the voice of angels. It happens to be my sun degree. And I have to go back over and over again and remind myself of a deeper truth sometimes. Because there are times when my ego gets bunched up about things I don't really care about. And so now it's a time to really decipher what is and is not important to me and allow what is not important to me to jump and to start to visualize what it is that I want to experience and who I want to be as a human being. Because when I'm checked into my ego, I operate from a completely disempowered place. And when I operate from the idea of a cooperative dynamic between my ego and my higher self, I don't want to separate them anymore. I want to create some sort of integration for them. And in doing so, I start to feel more empowered. I start to feel more excited. I start to look forward to the challenges, not like I want to call them forth, but then I start to look for the little bits of pearls that are there, the gold that's hidden underneath. Okay. All right. Happy Pride Month, everybody. I forgot about it. Sorry, I don't watch much news lately. I'm very mindful of what I'm watching on the television because I'm kind of easily inflamed. So I've been watching lots of, oh my goodness, you guys, did anybody see it on the news? I don't know if it's everywhere, but here in California, they did a whole news story on aliens, on fighter pilots capturing aliens, UFOs in the news. And I thought that was really interesting because of the Jupiter Saturn going into Aquarius. And we had talked about how it started a 200-year cycle of them meeting in air signs every 20 years and how we were going to see Aquarian things start to happen. And so when I saw the Happy Pride thing, that sort of triggered that thought as well, because it's, to me, if there was a sign that would represent Happy Pride Month, it would be Aquarius. I don't know if you guys agree with that, but for me. Did you see it? Oh, fabulous, Senjukta. I think I said that right. All right, here we go. On to our Virgos, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Yes, Elon Musk released the drones. I love all this alien stuff now. I watch Ancient Aliens almost every Saturday night. I even watch the reruns. I can start to tell who the guys are now by their voices instead of having to look. All right, here we go. Virgo. Our first angel is Oceana. The second is Bethany. The third is Indriel. And the final is Adriana. Welcome, Marika. I think it is. I said that right. Welcome, T. Vallejo. Welcome, Cape Town. Cheryl. All right, here we go. I love it's Skinwalker Ranch. I'm so hooked that last week when they did that special on the Titans, I was like, why did they do that on Tuesday night? I love that show. I'm telling you, I love it. I love it. I can't wait for Tuesday's episode. Okay. Oceana is being joined, Virgo, by the Hawk. Bethany's being joined by the Restriction card. Indriel's being joined by the Wind Fairy. And Adriana's being joined by the Letting Go card. Okay, so Oceana talks about taking action on your deeper truth, to lovingly asserting yourself. And I want to offer this because the Hawk in this particular case is, I want you to start to look for signs and omens that as you allow yourself the privilege of this journey, that you are being supported. And I want to offer it too, because here's the 11. I don't know if you can see it, which is the master number of thought. So as you, and I'm ahead of myself. Pay attention to your thoughts, pay attention to the number 11, pay attention to combinations of 11, and that is a sign and an omen that it is time to start to take that action. And when I say the action, I feel like the action before you actually go into the doing part, you're aware of what your vibration is. Because if for some reason your vibration goes into some sort of, I need to work hard, I need to pound the pavement, I need to make sure I do this, I want to start for you to think about the idea of attracting the situation and what vibration do I get to purport in order to attract a dynamic. Because I think Virgo may have a little bit of trouble actually checking into what is important to you. Naturally ruling the 6th house of work and employment, naturally ruling the 6th house of health or lack of health, And when we do jobs that we don't love, it slowly starts to erode us. So Virgo, pay attention to where you have inadvertently been restricting your own self-care, putting yourself second, third, fourth, fifth, 10th. I don't know what it is, because now is a time to align your thoughts, what you read, what you teach, what you speak of, to a higher version of yourself. And here we see the 29, which reduces down to an 11. And the restriction card is an 8, which is the number of prosperity. So as you take time to slow down and review what is important to you and take care of yourself, you're going to start to see things moving in a direction as spirit leads you to where you want to go. And when I say that letting go card is really about doing things your way. You guys know that this is the song Let It Go from Frozen. So now as I start to really muse on what it is I want to experience, and I start to think about how it would feel and how would it, I don't want you to think about the steps that you have to take. I don't want you to go into any of the mercurial dynamics of it. It's much more about sitting in the emotion of it. And in that emotion, that starts to allow you to get this vibration that then is the dynamic to take your action on. And I feel like it's going to be inspired action, which will give you a sense of confidence moving forward, because Virgo will think that I need to make something happen. But when you realize that as I take this pause to really reflect, then spirit inspires an action or inspires a thought or brings an experience into my world that confirms what it is that I want to move towards and the viability of it, so that then I can feel good about it. Okay. Hi, Martina. Wanted to say hi, but I didn't want to interrupt myself during Virgo. I'm moving on to Leo now. Welcome, Dreaming with Tess. I hope I said hi to you. Welcome, lovely Araceli. Araceli? Am I saying that right? Araceli? Okay. All right. On to Leo, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Welcome, Diana. Oh, Stephen, so many interesting events happening between the solar eclipse. Mars is finally moving into Leo. Thank you for that. We have Saturn exacting Uranus for this, in the square for the second of 3 times. We're going to see Mercury square Neptune 4 times this year. So we're really going to have to dig deep and trust our intuition versus, I just dropped a whole bunch of cards, versus our minds. That's what I think that square is about. Oh, hold on, guys. Oh, my goodness. Oh. That was awkward and not really very attractive. Excuse me. Jeez. All right. Here we go, Leo. Our first angel is Adriana. The second is Bethany. The third is Archangel Raphael. And the final is Chantal. Ooh, love that. Milo and all, I don't know how to say the rest of that. That's a big name. Welcome. I'm glad you're a Leo. You came in at the perfect time. Mahogany, we already did Aquarius. I go backwards. Leo, I start with Pisces and work my way towards Aries. Leo, Adriana's being joined by the Letting Go card. Bethany's being joined by the King. Archangel Raphael is being joined by the Joy card. And Chantal is being joined by the Truth. Okay. So for quite a while, I've been talking about the idea that Leo rules the zodiac. The sun rules the zodiac. Astrologers talk about each planet that comes in contact with the sun is in some ways combust because the sun is so bright. So as Leo is ruled by the sun, I think it's kind of time for us as humans to start to connect to that in a bigger way. Oftentimes we'll kind of go into this dynamic of Leo coming in and, kind of sucking up all the air in the room. And I don't necessarily think that's true. I think Leo's coming in the room and saying, join me in doing what is most exciting, most fun. Where's your personal creativity? What's your hobbies that you enjoy? What kind of romance do you enjoy? How do you interact and act childlike? Because we have Adriana leading you to the answers to your prayers, Leo, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. And now it's time to truly let it go. Listen to the words of this song. It's funny how some distance makes everything look small, and the fears that once controlled me can't get to me at all. It's time to see what I can do to test the limits, to break through. No right, no wrong, no rules for me. I'm free, because it's time for you to take care of yourself. This isn't about the king. This is about justice. This is about karma, balance. And this taking care of yourself, to me, is an invitation to everyone around you to do what makes them happy. If it makes you happy to clean out your garage on Saturday, then do it. But if you think you have to clean your garage out because Saturn or Capricorn is telling you to, forget it. Don't do it. It's a balance, because in the angel's advice, it's the epiphany of joy. Joy creates. Joy creates the whole reason we come to this planet is to take the concepts of our soul and to live them in the physical experience, to go through the unknowing, the fear, the trepidation, the concern, to triumph over it. And that's why I believe Leo rules the zodiac. Because when we follow what brings us our personal joy, when we allow our personal creativity out, boom, this place is so much fun. Because here we go, Chantal, yes, is the angel of romance, but what I love. And I believe Spirit is saying to Leo, the truth is, it's time for you to always do what you love. Love hard, play hard, be authentic and unabashed about what you want to experience that brings joy. And if for some reason those around you think that you should somehow dumb down so that they can live their happiness, their truth, their whatever, I don't know, babies. I don't think we need to dumb down. I think it's always an invitation to step up. So be all you can be. Let this time, let this solar eclipse, okay, you rule the sun, let it give you what you want. Let it liberate you into enjoying your everyday life, because that's why we're here, is to really enjoy it. And as hard as this life experience is, every time we get back into spirit and we review our lives, we never say we don't want to come back. Because we realize that when we come back, if we have the awareness that our inner knowing already holds space for, then we truly can live in what is known as nirvana. Because those challenges they aren't the things that are going to pull the rug out from underneath us, but instead give us wings to fly. So that's where I'm going. On to my Cancers, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. All right, here we go. I love every sign. There really is not one sign I don't love, but I feel like when we look at Leo, we've got to start to pay attention to the idea that the sun rules the zodiac. And if we allowed our own personal sun to rule us, and we did our personal joy, and we allowed ourselves to have a childlike dynamic and look at this world as fun instead of I got to pay my bills, I got to get my mammogram, I got to do this, I should do that, I need to do that. Forget all that. Rewrite it. Rewrite your story. Did I stumble? I feel like I did. So lately I've been rewriting my story and I feel very empowered by it. Okay. I love Leos. I love Capricorns too, and they couldn't be more different. Of course, I don't love that Capricorn that defends their lack. I'll kind of get a little girly on that one. All right, here we go. Cancer rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. For those of you that just joined, I go backwards. I start at Pisces and work my way towards Aries. I've got 4 more signs to go. Cancer, our first angel is Ariel. The second is Merlina. The third is Isabella. And the final is Ray. All right. Cancer, joining Ariel is the Raven. Joining Merlina is the Joy card. Joining Isabella is the Novice. And joining Ray is the Hawk. You know, it's funny sometimes when I think about the dynamics and the opposing dynamics of the signs, and you think of Cancer rules motherhood, right? Rules intuition. It rules mother knows best kind of idea. I've got that third eye. I can see you from wherever you are. And yet it's ruled by the crab, right? And the crab kind of crawls from side to side. And sometimes people will say that Cancer can feel a little bit unsure or insecure. And I feel like these are the polarities of Cancer, because when Cancer trusts their inner knowing, then the crab crawl doesn't necessarily happen. And if you think about the idea of Leo rules children and Cancer rules motherhood. So Cancer, if your child in some way was compromised or in a dangerous situation, your instincts would take over, right? The reason I'm saying all of this is because whether you're a man or a woman, as a Cancer, I think it's time to let your instincts take over, to look at your experiences you've had with spirit and allow them the magic they deserve. Allow them the opportunity that they are to illuminate a path where you've grown and where you have this power of connecting as above, so below. As in heaven, as on earth and in heaven. I can't remember how that goes right now. Because when I look at the Raven right now, it talks about synchronistic events. It talks about timing. And the Raven in Native American culture goes into the underworld and kind of comes back transformed, which is the magic. So this is an opportunity for Cancer to truly step into a place of, rather than being confused and undecisive because you don't have enough information, to trust your inner knowing, to trust the moon that rules the tides, and to step into your joy, to start to focus in on your joy. Because Spirit says, yes, the timing is right for this new venture. A happy outcome follows your positive expectation. And then here's the Novice. And this is about the transformation of your own. It almost feels otherworldly, because the crab that is kind of stuck in the earthly experience will feel like, oh my goodness, I'm not quite sure how to make my moves. But the crab that is trusting the ocean, the water that it's living in, is going with a flow. And so it's operating in a more cooperative way, because now is the time to, again, connect with Spirit. This is meditation. This is my heart. My power center, my power chakra, my heart chakra, and my throat. This is a Gemini solar eclipse. What am I thinking about? Focusing in on that and starting to rise above the everyday situation to see the bigger picture of what only your inner knowing will see right now. I'm going to go back to this situation where in my neighborhood, there was disruption. People just acting, kind of kooky, and Pluto and all the other nonsense that's going on. And when I really connected with the idea that I can look at this and I can see the unfairness and the imbalance of it, but that was taking me down a road. My eyeballs were taking me down a road that made me do a crab crawl. When I got into my inner knowing, when I got into my intuition, when I got into knowing the bigger concept of how this universe works, the law of attraction, and when I started to focus in on peace, that's what my little Zen garden was about, creating a peaceful little nirvana where I looked out and saw beauty instead of disruption, and it changed my experience. That's what I think is going on for Cancer. Allow your experience to change because your focus changes, and the magic happens because you're connecting to a much deeper part of yourself, a part that's underneath the water. And watching all these shows on the History Channel and Sci-Fi, the oceans are actually, there's more life and more undiscovered things in our oceans than man knows. We've had more exploration in space, and we know more about space than we know about the oceans on our own planet. And you rule the oceans. So now is a time to go into that bit of unknown and allow the excavation of your own intuition to come to the surface so that it can then be, and I'm going to use this solar eclipse in Gemini, brought into your material experience in your everyday life. All right, let's go on to our Geminis. This is your moon, your eclipse, and it's at 19 degrees, I believe. Yep, 19 degrees. Now, for some reason, that hits me as a Sagittarian degree. 19 degrees. What is that? I can't think and shuffle at the same time. I'm not sure, dreaming with Tess, but I feel like there's this inner knowing that all of us have. And, when I wanted to talk about Star Wars today and the hero's journey. I forgot about that, but it's similar because I feel like that these eclipses are taking us on some sort of hero's journey through the zodiac. Anyway, all right, let's go on to our Geminis. Let's see. Happy birthday, CC Pups. Sending lots of love for a happy solar return. All right, Gemini, our first angel is Rosetta. The second is Crystal. The third is Rochelle. And the final is Marina. Ooh. Welcome, Geneva, I think it is. Rosetta is being joined by the Raven. Crystal's being joined by the Focus card. Rochelle's being joined by the Butterfly. And Merlina is being joined by the Bear. When I look at this Gemini, and the first thing I kind of connect with is, while Rosetta talks about parenting and teaching and guiding children, which is very third house Gemini, I don't necessarily think when we're talking about the potential of thousands of people looking at this, that this is about that. I feel like the magic comes from your own inner child. Your inner child, Gemini, is going to be much less likely to bounce around between all the potentials, good and bad, positive and negative, black and white, polarizing in some way. And I feel kind of like the Raven is saying that the magic comes from the opportunity to be able to sit in a childlike innocence. This is not falling on either side of the fence, not necessarily coming to a conclusion, because in our opportunity and our obstacle is Crystal saying that there's something more on the horizon that you can't see. And your job here is to focus. And the focus comes from kind of going into the place of telling yourself a new story, and a story that comes from your heart and comes from your transformation. You know, so often, my experience, I've worked with some people for years now, and the hero's journey is one of layers. You know, as one challenge is conquered, another challenge comes up, and each one is grandly designed to empower the hero to feel. You know, we think about Luke Skywalker when he was being trained by Yoda. He went through a series of exercises where ultimately he was blindfolded, and with his lightsaber, he was, you guys remember the scene with the little ball, and he had to allow an inner knowing, the instincts. And that's what I think is going on right now. I think Gemini is being asked to get out of their mind and get into that instinctual place so that you can start telling a new story. This confusion doesn't feel like it comes from not having enough information. It feels like it comes from telling the same old story over and over and over again. And now is a time to have the magic of a new story. And the new story is not necessarily one that you can grasp onto and say, look, there's evidence of it. When you guys, this year, in March, I started my 8th year of working for myself. And the biggest gift that this last couple of years has given me is the ability to trust my own momentum, my own law of attraction. And that is living in the unknowing. When is someone going to book? If they don't book, I don't make any money. If I don't make any money, I don't pay my rent. I never tell myself that story anymore. I used to tell myself that story, but now I've connected to the idea that I have grown, and I have a childlike innocence in my trust of the universe, of source energy, that it is magical. And as I pay attention to it, and I allow myself the privilege of this focus of knowing the unknown is powerful. It's where the co-creator goes into the dark place and then transforms. And now I start telling a new story. And how powerful are you, Gemini, when you start to tell the new story? Because what you do is you tell it to your teammates, your workmates, you teach it, you read it, you speak it, you hear it, you absorb yourself in it, and you are part of the big shift. Not that we all aren't part of the big shift, but this solar eclipse in Gemini feels like, here we talk about a 6-month influence. And this is taking us to the end of the year. And a lot of this is about harvesting all the hard work that we have been doing in the last 2 or 3 years as Pluto has made itself known in excavating what doesn't work for us and illuminating what does. All right, let's go on to Taurus. Oh, Taurus, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Having a little Uranus floating all over the moon. I can't even tell you how many aspects are going on with me right now. I have Uranus floating around my moon, which is triggering an opposition with Neptune and Mercury in my 8th house, which has actually triggered more mediumship. And this is something I don't advertise. I never tell people I talk to the dead because I'm so acutely aware of the impression people have from the media. So I've been, keeping it on the DL. And then what happens is people are booking over and over again, even yesterday. And what I've done is surrender to it. Uranus. I have unexpectedly had people book for the specific reason of speaking to people from the other side. My biggest fear. And then it seems to me that fear is being appeased. It is being squelched. I'm learning to trust the rhythm of it. So as new things are coming up, looking at your charts, looking at the ripple effect, Taurus, there could be a lot of things going on that as Uranus is transiting my moon, it is hitting the square between Saturn. So there's kind of this double whammy thing going on for me. And when I look at it, I feel like Saturn is working for me now. This is Saturn saying, do the hard work of trusting your connection to spirit And because you're trusting that connection to spirit, we're going to open more things for you and liberate you from all the emotional things that you've been tied to from before. That's where I'm going. All right. Taurus, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. I love Taurus. I love us all. I love every sign. I really do. There's so much. I was thinking about Taurus this morning because I was thinking about the hero's journey. And when I was younger, I used to feel so at home at church camp up in San Bernardino Mountains. I remember that we used to have these times of meditating, and I would always feel so close to God and the angels. Okay. Our first angel for our Tauruses is Xana. The second is Shanti. The third is Indriel. And the final is Oceana. Geneva, I can understand. It was a little scary. I mean, I got to tell you, when I physically saw certain things, at first I had a little bit of trepidation, but I've gotten a little bit, it's easier for me now because I do trust that my vibration is such not to bring in lower energies or vibrations. How many times have I dropped cards today? Goodness gracious. Nana, yes, we did. We already did Leo. I start at Pisces and work my way towards Aries. We're on Taurus right now, so we're on my spine. Xana is being joined by the love card, Taurus. Shanti is being joined by the eagle. Indriel is being joined by the focus card. And Oceana is being joined by the dog. Okay, so here we go. Xana is the angel of protection. She says all types of harm is behind you. And then there's the love card. And I want to kind of take this in two different directions because with Taurus, I want to say this love doesn't feel like love, necessarily intimate love, but love in general. Love of family, friends, co-workers, just in general of feeling a sense of love and support. And I think that it's time to start to focus on that. Allowing yourself the privilege of whatever planets are in Taurus for you. If your sun is in Taurus, if your Venus is in Taurus, if Jupiter's in Taurus, this may not appear to relate to you. And then you find out, oh, I've got Uranus in Taurus. And then Uranus is going to be conjunct Uranus. There's a liberation to be offered to you, Taurus, and you're safe in accepting that because it's bringing you closer to the things that you love and the people that you love and the loving experiences you want. Because here in the opportunity and or the obstacle is Shanti, the angel of peace, and there is the eagle, the connection to the angelic realm. And this is where I feel like this eclipse season, having the lunar eclipse in Sagittarius, and then in the solar eclipse in Gemini has everything to do with the way I think, what I believe, and being liberated from any chains that bind me. And as I trust this experience, I feel more at peace because what this eclipse season in the last couple of years has illuminated for all of us is where our focus is, what we think about. And what we think about, we magnetize. The other day I was going to do a reading and I had a really, really busy day. And so before the day, I was like, oh, I'm going to make myself a smoothie. Oh, I really want to make a cherry smoothie. And I was wearing white pants. And I thought to myself, oh, no, if I would make this with my white pants on, I'm going to spill on myself. But I didn't take my white pants off. And instead, I was trying to be careful. And I took a spoon and then it flipped. And I, sure enough, splattered my pants with my frickin' cherry thing. My point of this story is as you, Taurus, start to pay attention to your focus and you see the illumination that your focus has to offer you, you will bring more peace into your life. I literally saw myself like recently very much almost immediately noticing that I get this thought in my head and I start to think, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, and then boom, it comes in. So now I need to think of it in the way of its highest vibration because here's the dog, unconditional love, loyalty, and sincerity, and Oceana saying to Taurus, allow yourself to swim towards what brings you love. This is a double love whammy, and I don't think it's about interacting with another person in an intimate way as much as it's about in general. Taurus rules my possessions. It rules my family history. It rules history in general, but it rules my self-worth, which we get from our family when we're young. It sets the tone. So now, as Taurus is protected from all types of harm that has come before, and the integration of your own spiritual journey and allowing yourself to feel the Venusian energy of receiving peace, receiving support, receiving the things that you want that make you feel secure moving forward. And your job is to stay on course. Stay on course. To continue to say, does this feel good? Do I like this? Am I being loving to myself? You know, Uranus, well, it may not, this is the thing. We have 30 degrees in the whole sign house, and Uranus is somewhere around 12, I think right now, 13, I'm not sure. Whether or not it's sitting right on you, it is sending a ripple effect. And the ripple effect may, in the very first hit, may be, I'm feeling a little anxious. I feel a little unsure. I feel a little nervous. Why do I feel nervous? What's going on? And I think that nervousness is that call to action, that call to really start to determine what you love. And when I say this, I think I want to go all the way from what I love to eat. What do I love to submerge myself in? What do I love around me? How do I create Venusian things? How do I create my Zen garden? How do I create my sense of peace? And using that as the platform to then go into your action, into your everyday life, and allowing this idea that the seeds you sow right now, or the seeds you plant right now, will be sown around the harvest time, and being willing to do the quote unquote hard work of staying the course while you don't quite know how it's going to play out. All right. On to our final sign, Aries. And I'm going to say this for Taurus too, as I'm kind of dribbling on. Recently, I got my rent raised, which is not really a big deal. But I was talking to somebody, and they were all about like the dynamics of real estate and all the challenges going on with real estate, and basically said to me, well, now that your rent's been raised, they're going to raise it every year. And, pretty soon you're just not even going to be able to afford to live there anymore. And I took in what that person said. And then I thought, yeah, watch me. You go and you think about all those small-minded, everyday things that I'm vulnerable to how people show up. But no, I create this because I create with spirit. So spirit will only make this as expensive as I need it to be. And I don't need it to be expensive. So I literally rejected that person's point of view and decided in my very Aries way that I was going to be courageous and brave, going a whole new direction of thought. Get it? I think you do. All right, Aries, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. And Aries, don't let anybody tell you that you're just an angry, pissed off person, because that's not true. You're the truth seeker. You're the courageous pioneer. You're the one who is the best person to have your back if something goes wrong. So now when you trust that, you don't have to look so pissed off all the time. Because people can tell me they see me coming. I know Aries is not used to going last, but because I'm an Aries rising and a Libra sun, I do it for balance and for my Aries to practice patience. All right, here we go. Our first angel is Adriana. The second is Crystal. The third is Athena. And the final is Seraphina. Shelley, trust your inner gut. Don't listen to too many people outside unless what they say resonates with your heart. And then Spirit will confirm. It will give you some sort of experience or sign that you're right. And it does it in the weirdest ways, okay? So I told you guys I was upset about neighborhood stuff, right? It's been going on for quite some time. I will admit I watched General Hospital. And a few weeks ago, one of the characters said, just off the cuff, they were in the hospital, and he said to a nurse, Dr. Arthur will be taking care of that for you. And it just rang in my head like a gong, because my grandfather's name was Arthur. He's on the other side. And I knew at that moment I was powerless as an individual human being, and I was going to need spirit to take care of it. So that was spirit's sign that they were watching me, and I just had to listen. All right, here we go. Aries, joining Adriana is the perception card. Joining Crystal is the Lady of the Lake. Joining Athena is the love card. And joining Seraphina is the burden. Yeah, nobody puts baby in a corner. All right. I pulled a clarification card on the burden card. Okay. Adriana is leading you to the answers to your prayers, to your dreams and your intuitions and your thoughts. And here's the perception card. I want to offer this for my Aries. Slow down. Allow yourself to be led. You know, I kind of think of the Knight of Swords sometimes as Aries, because he just wants to charge through the situation and get it done. And here is a time for meandering a bit, Aries. You're just coming out of, Mars is just coming out of Cancer. You're going to have to dry off a little bit before you get into the Leo sunshine. You're going to want to move. But when you move, being aware of your perception. That's something I'm very, very aware of. What is my being energy before I go into my doing action energy in order to manifest? What is my being energy? My disposition, my attitude, my belief, my fear-based, my confidence-based. Because here in the Angel's Advice is the Lady of the Lake. This is about courage, self-respect, responsibility. It's about the absolute truth. And in many ways, that truth is something that's going to be inside your heart, not necessarily in your physical experience just yet. And I think that this is about the idea of Aries rising to the truth seeker, knowing that a strong, steady pace. You know, when I say pace, I mean it's sort of this awareness of my being energy, then taking action. Then sitting in assessment and allowing spirit to inspire the next thought that then has me check into my being energy and then into my action. Because Athena says to lovingly assert yourself towards what you love. And I want to say this, it may take a minute or two to get down to the deeper levels of what you actually love. My initial thoughts of things lately have been, you know, a sort of a reaction to things. And so what I guess I'm trying to say is that I need to take a moment to see where I'm reacting so I can make an informed decision and a choice through awareness. Because Seraphina offers me a happy change to my family, but part of that is burdened by me not being pissed off, or me not being the Aries that is in that warrior mode of wanting to lob off others' heads for their imbalance. Because now it's time to see, Aries, when you focus in on joy versus the imbalance. You know, the idea of being a Libra sun and an Aries rising is kind of challenging, because there's a part of me that wants to be very cooperative and balanced, and then there's a part of me that just wants to exterminate the stupid. But stupid isn't stupid every day. So if I allowed my Aries to take over, I could inadvertently be exterminating stupid that's stupid today, but brilliant tomorrow. So I feel like, I hope this doesn't sound crazy, Aries, give yourself a chance to see brilliant. Give yourself a chance to check into your own perceptions and to decide whether you truly want to be that assertive, aggressive part of yourself, or the assertive part that skirts around the aggression and into the deeper truth, the deeper love, the deeper knowing. And that knowing feels like it comes from this pioneering energy that says, I don't need to know what's out there because I know what's in here. I know what I'm capable of. I know when the rubber meets the road, what I instinctually can do. So going back to the whole idea of somebody telling me my rent's going to go up every year. Okay, instinctually you may say that, and it may happen to everybody else, but I know what I can do when I align to a deeper truth of what I want to experience. And in doing that, spirit moves mountains. In my history, you guys know I'm 61 years old. And I lived in Santa Monica in a rent-controlled apartment for 15 years. It was my choice to leave that apartment. When I moved in, it was $300 a month. And when I moved out, it was only $600 a month. Everybody gave me shit about that. Okay. Oh my God. I can't believe you have one of the last rent-controlled apartments. When I moved to Laguna, I said to Spirit, find me a place I can live where I can see the ocean. And they brought me here. And it just happens to be considered affordable housing. So here I am. Is it an anomaly that I just get lucky and this stuff shows up? Or am I co-creating because of my being energy? And being able to decipher the difference between being pissed off and being courageous. Being tenacious and being considered aggressive. Because some people may think I'm aggressive. But I'm not naturally aggressive. I'm only aggressive when I feel pushed. So that's where I'm going with all of this kind of stuff. I feel like this is going to be a very, very, we've been talking about for a long time, this kind of very disruptive landscape we're living in. We've been, oppressed and isolated and separated in our viewpoint of one another. But I believe all of this is about bringing unity and being able to see each other for the beautiful, it's Pride Month, for all the colors we bring to the table. And not just the colors of our skin, and not just the colors of our hair and the clothes that we wear, but our attitudes, our dispositions, and all the brightness we have to bring. So that's where I'm going with this. Thank you so much. And I want to thank, I think it was Shelly, for the tip. Don't tip me anymore, you guys. I don't want you to send me any more money. No more super chat money, please. I appreciate it, but I don't really see it. So I don't want you to spend your money on something I don't see. So I'm going to give you love and thank you for it so much. But anyway, all right. So that's it for this week. Again, my name is Teri Hunter. I'm here on Lotta's channel every Sunday morning at 11 a.m. Pacific time with messages from your angels for traversing the transits. And I'll be back next Sunday with another installment. We're going to be heading next Sunday. Saturn will be just about squaring Uranus. So it should be fun to look into that. And then we'll talk about the rest of the week. So everybody, remember, you're on your own hero's journey. See yourself as a hero because there is a hero inside of you. Love and peace out, guys.